Priyanka. Thank you very much por estar con nosotros. Thank you. Vamos a ver, Marvelita, ¿le estás traduciendo a Priyanka? Marvel.
Doctora, por el chat.
Ah, ya, excelente.
Sí.
Bueno,
vamos, sí, doctora, ¿no me escucha?
Vamos a poder dar un poquito de su currículum de Priyanka. ¿Me escuchan? Hola.
Sí, doctora.
Perfecto.
Sí, doctora.
Perfecto.
Perfecto.
Sí, la escuchamos.
La doctora Priyanka
Sí.
tiene un total de 14 años de experiencia de docente después del posgrado. Trabaja como profesor en la Facultad de Ontología de Jamia Millia Islamia, Nueva Delhi, desde el 25 de junio del 2018 hasta la fecha. Trabajó como profesor asociado, profesor adjunto en la Facultad de Ontología JMI de Nueva Delhi. Residencia junior en IINS de julio del 2003 a mayo del 2006, en Chandigarh de enero de 2003 a 2003. Ella es investigadora, ¿no? Ha hecho investigaciones sobre mediadores biológicos en el movimiento de los dientes, metodología de investigación y ética, apnea obstructiva del sueño, reconstrucción facial, perfilado de cráneo, estimación de edad, antropología forense. Su formación es sobre la aproximación facial forense en el Laboratorio Central de Ciencias Forenses. Tiene premios internacionales y nacionales que incluyen el segundo premio en el 41 Simposio de Moyer y la Conferencia Internacional sobre Investigación Craneofacial Ann Arbor, Michigan, del 2014, y primer premio en el cuarto Taller Nacional de Odontología Forense, CDE y Forense. Talleres y presentaciones, numerosas presentaciones y talleres nacionales e internacionales en sus áreas de interés. Tiene publicaciones científicas también, ella es ortodoncista también, ¿no? Formuló 2 tablas de estimación de edad, que es la que nos va a presentar el día de hoy, que se utiliza ampliamente para investigación y aplicaciones forenses en el campo forense, ¿no? Ha sido coautora de muchos capítulos, incluidos capítulos sobre biomarcadores, Peri-Minisect para la estabilidad de craneofacial, Ground Series, Universidad de Michigan en el 2017, y estimación forense de la edad y aproximación facial en Handbook of Forensic Ontology, el 2018, ¿no? ¿Qué más? Dice, tiene un proyecto de CTS del Consejo Indio de Investigación Médica, en 2019, sobre morfología craneofacial y de las vías respiratorias superiores en la apnea obstructiva del sueño. Ella es ortodoncista del Instituto de Ciencias Médicas en la India, ¿no? Y ha tenido una beca forense de odontología en el College Award en el 2018. Así que vamos a presentar a Priyanka con un estupendo currículum, de verdad, felicidades Priyanka, y qué lindo poder conocerlos a cada uno de ustedes desde la India, que nos siguen, y de verdad algún día de todas maneras vamos a ir a conocer la India. Eso lo tenemos que hacer los que estamos aquí, al menos yo sí me comprometo. No sé, los que me sigan... No
yo también, me prendo.
Bueno, Priyanka, buenos días. Doctor Guillermo, ¿qué tal? Buenas tardes.
Dr. Priyanka, thank you. We could start?
Yes, sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, can I share my screen now?
¿Puede compartir su pantalla? Sí, ¿no?
Sí.
Yes, Dr. Priyanka. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Is it visible?
Yes.
Okay. Well, good morning, everybody from India, and good evening people out there who are listening to me now. I am Dr. Priyanka Kapoor. I'm sure Dr. Wendy has given an introduction for me, although I could not understand at all. But so that is my little introduction. And thank you so much, Dr. Wendy, for introducing me to your esteemed group and giving me this opportunity for coming here and discussing whatever little information, whatever little experience I have on dental age estimation. And I've specifically chosen this topic not only from forensics point of view, but also for the research point of view, because I have done quite a bit of research in this field of dental age estimation with my students and my team. And that is what I'm here to present about. And I'm also going to, towards the end of the lecture, I would also be taking a small workshop or a kind of a practical experience of how to use the charts that I'm going to present for dental age estimation. I do hope they are of benefit and you might be able to use them in your daily practice here and after this lecture.
Dice que buenos días a todos los que están desde India y buenas tardes para el resto de nosotros. Agradece a la doctora Wendy por darle la oportunidad de exponer aquí con nosotros. También nos presenta, sabe que la doctora Wendy la ha presentado, pero nos puso un slide con su presentación de todas formas. Ella ha escogido este tema de la estimación de la edad dental, sobre todo en el tópico de la investigación, ya que ella se dedica a la investigación con su equipo y sus estudiantes. Al final de esta presentación también les va a hablar de unos talleres que ella da, que podrían ser usados en nuestra vida diaria y que se basan en cómo usar estas tablas y cómo realizar la estimación.
So this is my team. I'm sure you all know Dr. Aman. He's already taken a lecture here and will be coming here for you soon. And this is my student, Dr. Vanchika, with whom I've done quite a bit of work in dental age estimation. And Professor Deepika, who's also there on our team, and we work together. Dr. Aman, Dr. Deepika, and myself, we are together since past 10 years in the same university. And we share the same ideals, we share the same work ethics, and also the same interests. So we've been working together quite a bit.
Okay. Este es su equipo. Está el doctor Aman. Está su estudiante Vanishka. Y está la doctora. Ellos vienen trabajando ya hace unos 10 años juntos y comparten ideales, comparten principios éticos y nos quería presentar a su equipo.
I would like to mention that Dr. Vanchika was a third-year student, BDS student, undergraduate student when she started working with me. So we are here to promote also our students, because if we feel that if we catch them young, we can really hone them and we can really make good doctors and good researchers out of them. So this is also one point I would like to highlight here.
Okay. Nos comenta que Dr. Vanishka fue su estudiante y luego fue ella, por decirlo así, la descubrió y le ha dado este impulso para promover su conocimiento, ya que al reconocer que hay buenos estudiantes y formarlos, se puede nacer futuros buenos médicos o buenos odontólogos o buenos profesionales en esta área que tengan interés.
So we are talking about age, and coming from a woman, I think that's quite contrary, because we don't like to talk about our age. But age is definitely, it has become just a number for in this today's time. And in the picture, you can see an 80-year-old man walking down the ramp. So just looking at him, you would not imagine that he's 80 plus. In India, you know, we divide our lifespan into 4 different parts, and it starts with the child taking birth, then the child in the childhood, he's free to do anything. Then he comes to the adulthood when he gets married, has children. And then there's something called vanprastha. When he just moves, he leaves his family and he moves out to meditate. That was in our scriptures. Although it's not followed now, age has definitely just become a number, which is in our minds right now. There is no dearth to what we can do at any age.
Okay. Bueno, vamos a hablar de la edad. Hablar de la edad para una mujer incluso es un poco complicado. Pero hemos llegado al punto en que la edad es solo un número. Como vemos en la imagen, hay una persona mayor de 80 años desfilando en una pasarela y eso es algo que antes podría no verse, ¿no? De acuerdo a nuestra sociedad y a las escrituras, se tenía qué hace un niño, qué hace un adulto, qué hace un adulto con familia, qué hace un adulto mayor, pero ahora todos tenemos diferentes oportunidades.
Well, for some, it's not a number, but it has become an obsession. And the companies which are marketing the age-defying serums, the age-defying creams, they are all, making $1,000,000 just to remove these wrinkles and not to tell people about their age. And the Botox, the fillers, everything, these companies are just thriving on our obsession for age.
Para algunos no es solo un número, sino una obsesión. La industria está ganando millones de dólares con hacer serums que nos quiten las arrugas. Y eso está ocurriendo en este momento.
But this age becomes a big problem when we reach the forensic aspect, because it is one aspect where you have to produce some kind of proof in forensic and legal scenarios when you are going to present some case for identifying the person regarding his age. You have to give some number to the judge, and whenever you are presenting in the court, it has to be with an impeccable evidence. And that is what we are here to discuss, how we can create that evidence, what are the best practices that we can use for the forensic age estimation aspect.
Okay. Pero la edad sí es un problema dentro del área forense, ya que si, por ejemplo, estamos ante un caso de identificación, debemos presentarle a un juez la mejor evidencia y eso es de lo que vamos a hablar hoy. También de las buenas prácticas y cómo podemos realizar estos procesos.
What are the various areas which actually demand forensic age estimation? There are some areas where the people will try to hide their age, like first and foremost sports, and it is plaguing every country, every aspect of the world, and every sport to think of. It can be tennis, it can be badminton, and cricket, which is a religion in India. Out here in cricket is a religion. But there's so many different age groups that are playing simultaneously. But every player wants to play in the lower category so that they have less competition. And for that, they try to hide their age. They try to forge their age, because the documents that you can prepare are very easy, the government documents that you produce as a proof. So that makes the age forgery very easy. And it is plaguing every part of the sports. And that is what we have to take care in forensics.
Oh, wow. Okay. Hay áreas en las que es muy importante ocultar la edad. Por ejemplo, en los deportes. Muchas personas buscan certificaciones no reales en las que se les dé una edad menor a la que realmente tienen para poder tener menos competencia. Y esto se ve en los distintos deportes, por ejemplo, el badminton, y allá en India en cricket, para poder competir. Y estos son muchos de los casos que se ven.
Besides sports, you have so many criminal offenses that are carried out around the world. It's not only India, it's around the world. And you can see the data that I have put up here in the chart. They can be rapes, they can be drug trafficking, they can be even, killings happening by juveniles. And for juveniles, it is easier when you try to prove that you're a juvenile and you are saved from the harsh punishments like, life imprisonment or death. And across the world, if you see that the lowest age for criminal responsibility is going down and down. Like in US, there is no minimum age, but in Asia, in Africa, it is as low as 7 years. Philippines latest information had come that they had proposed an amendment in their bill where they were proposing to reduce the age for criminal responsibility from 15 years to 9 to 12 years. So you can imagine the crimes, the gadgets that we are putting in our children's hands, they are also exposing their minds to so much of criminal stuff. and a lot of juveniles are committing these crimes. And then the best they do is to hide their age and to show them young. So, you know, it's a major problem in forensics to identify the right age of these criminals who are trying to pose as juveniles and trying to forego the punishments that is liable for their amount of crime.
Okay. Además, aparte del deporte, tenemos el problema con los actos criminales. Los jóvenes buscan ocultar su edad para poder huir de la responsabilidad que se les da a algunos adultos. Podemos ver en este mapa que, por ejemplo, en Estados Unidos no hay una edad mínima para poder ser castigados, pero en lugares como India o Pakistán, la edad mínima para ser castigados es de 7 a 9 años. Y así vemos cómo las edades cambian alrededor del mundo. Entonces, lo que se busca es reducir la edad mínima para que ellos asuman su responsabilidad, y lo que ellos buscan, los criminales, es reducirse la edad para tener penas más flexibles. Entonces, este es un gran problema dentro del área forense.
Birth registration is another big problem because if you talk about India, 50% of the population of India is staying in rural areas, and the birth registration is improving day by day, but it's still not as good as the Western countries, the Western Europe, North America, where you have a birth registration of 100%. So that is also one problem. Whenever they have to produce certificate, they can get it forged anytime. This is the UNICEF data that I'm presenting.
The what, sorry?
This is a UNICEF global data that I have presented in this chart.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Otro problema son con los registros de edad. Aquí tenemos unos datos del UNICEF, que el problema es que hay mucho subregistro y esto va a afectar la edad de cada una de las personas.
Child labor, another problem. UNICEF data says that the sub-Saharan Africa and Asian countries, the less developed countries, they have this huge problem where the children are being forced into heavy labor, and you have to ascertain their age to actually take them out from this kind of a menace.
Okay. También tenemos el problema del trabajo infantil. Aquí vemos algunos datos del UNICEF, y es importante determinar la edad de estos niños para que sean sacados de estas realidades y además aplicar las penas que correspondan.
Child marriage, another big problem. I took out the data from Chile also, and they have also kind of said that they're going to eliminate the child forced marriage by 2030 with the target of sustainable development goals. And that is also a major problem in India, where 27% of the girls are married before their 18th birthday, which is actually the age of marriage in India. 18 for women and 21 for males.
Okay. Otro problema es casamiento infantil. Estos son unos datos del gobierno de Chile que espera erradicar el casamiento infantil para el año 2030. Uno de los grandes problemas de India es que el 27% de las niñas se casan antes de los 18 años, que es la edad permitida de matrimonio para las mujeres, y la edad permitida para los varones es de 21 años.
Well, a major problem is also of refugees, migrants, with so many people moving across the country borders. This is the data that has been presented. And the child migrants before 18 years and young migrants 15 to 24 years, this data is presented. So we can imagine the amount of problem that the countries are having to identify the correct age of these migrants so that they can give them the benefits that are pertaining to that particular country. But it can only happen if they know the right age of the person.
Tenemos otro problema con los refugiados y los migrantes. Llegan adultos, llegan niños, y el problema está en identificar cuál es la edad correcta de cada una de estas personas para otorgarles los beneficios del país al que hayan llegado.
Besides this, these are the few areas that I have just mentioned, but besides this, there's so many civil areas where, like retirement benefits, the benefits according to the age that are given in various countries, they also are the areas where we have to ascertain the right age of the person, where we might not have the correct documents, but we should have some other methods to assess the right age of the person.
Okay. Esto es en las áreas civiles. Por ejemplo, hay áreas rurales en las que ni siquiera se cuenta con la documentación adecuada para darles una estimación de la edad.
Well, my obsession with the age began when I went for my fellowship in forensic odontology, and these are the few pictures. I also went for the craniofacial identification forensic facial approximation course in Chandigarh. There also I realized that it is not only the skull that is able to assess the age, but the teeth are a very big asset for us to assess the age. And I am an orthodontist by profession. And when I came back and I started again my practice, I realized that I'm sitting on a hub of records, you know. For every patient, I am taking the models, I'm taking the radiographs, I'm doing the lateral cephalograms, the panorex, and I'm sitting on a hub of research data, which I can utilize for creating some kind of a dental age estimation method or studying these methods properly and teaching it further to my students and using it for forensic on-field applications.
Mi obsesión empezó cuando hice el fellow de y que me di cuenta que no solo el cráneo era necesario o útil en la estimación de la edad, sino también los dientes. A cada uno de los pacientes a los que atiendo, les tomo todo lo que ven aquí, ¿no? Los puntos cronométricos, las placas panorámicas, ahí se le hace también la medición con calibradores a fin de recolectar data para la información, que normalmente uso no solo para la investigación, sino para enseñar a los alumnos, para trabajar en la universidad, etc.
This is the Turkey conference with Dr. Temri, which I had attended. And this was also on age estimation. These are my workshops and lectures. You can see Dr. Aman also here. We had gone to Bangladesh for presenting an age estimation workshop where I had introduced these charts to the non-dentist. And believe me, it was really simple for them to do it in a few minutes. With Dr. Cambry, I had organized more workshops, one in Hyderabad and many other places in Delhi. So, you know, it's a lot of experience that I've gathered along with the publications of these charts in Journal of Forensic and Legal Medicine and Forensic Science International. So this is a small experience that I've gathered in the field of dental age estimation.
La doctora nos mostró algunas fotos de los talleres que ella brinda, de los viajes que ha hecho. Y no solo eso es parte de su experiencia, sino la publicación de las tablas que nos va a enseñar en artículos científicos y en distintos congresos, como vamos a ver más adelante.
So why are teeth important for age estimation? We first need to understand that. Only then we can make some progress in understanding what are the various methods for using teeth for age estimation. So, well, for first, the teeth can survive all calamities. If you can see, there are studies that prove that if you place these teeth or you incinerate these teeth at higher temperatures from 100 degrees Celsius to 1200 degrees Celsius, various changes can occur in the teeth, but they are the last to go. And in fact, their structure can tell you what amount of temperature the teeth have taken to produce that effect on the teeth. In areas of mass disasters or in fires and burnings, the soft tissues, the face, the fingerprints, everything for individual identification can just go. But the teeth are there to stay, and they can tell you the story, what has happened in that crime place.
Okay. Es importante entender por qué queremos estimar la edad y para qué usamos los dientes. Los dientes son los últimos en desaparecer, son los que sobreviven grandes temperaturas. Para que un diente sea dañado, tiene que ser sometido a una alta temperatura. Entonces, por eso es importante que estudiemos los dientes.
The teeth, besides surviving the calamities, they are the ones which have different stages. They grow with the child when the child is born, and then they develop. And when the child is born, it has neonatal lines, as we all know, that before the child is born and after the child is born, the difference between a stillbirth and a live child when he's born is the neonatal line, the hypomineralized line that is present that you can see in the picture. And then later on, as the child grows, so does the tooth germs. It develops into the bud stage, the cap stage, the bell stage, and then the mineralization process occurs. And at the last is the Shore and Massler chart, according to which we dentists have been told to assess the age of the patient based on the calcification, the mineralization, and the eruption status of the teeth.
Lo maravilloso con los dientes es que tienen estadios diferentes. Es muy diferente ver los botones de dientes de un recién nacido a ver los dientes de un adulto. Entonces, lo que se establece, lo que se necesita para poder hacer una estimación de la edad es el grado de calcificación, el grado de mineralización y en qué estadio de la erupción se encuentra.
And they also age. They age with us. And there's so many methods that can tell you how they are aging. Like the cementum annulation, it's like the wrinkles on our face. There are different lines that are present on the cementum, which can tell you when you measure the difference between the two cemental lines and you take the difference with the thickness of the cementum, you can actually assess the chronological age of the individual in years. You can also assess the age based on the pulp-tooth ratio, because as we know, as we age, the dentine gets deposited and the pulp area starts becoming lesser. So based on the ratio of the pulp to the whole tooth, you can actually assess the chronological age in years.
Okay. También lo interesante es que los dientes envejecen con nosotros. Si nosotros medimos el grosor del cemento, nos vamos a dar cuenta que cambia con la edad. Además, vemos la pulpa, y la pulpa también va a ir cambiando con la edad, como vamos a ver un poquito más adelante.
Well, because of such a story that has been told by the teeth, the dentists have been recognized as a medical board part and an integral part of the medical board for age estimation, along with the radiologist and a general physician, which are, these three are the major parts, but rest all orthopedicians and the pediatric dentists, they can be added. But these are the main parts of a medical board, which is assessing the age of any individual.
Okay. Esos son los tres profesionales que son considerados para la Junta Adolescente de la Justicia Juvenil, en los que se toman en cuenta para la estimación de la edad: el odontólogo, el radiólogo y el médico.
So this is actually, I found this particular group very comprehensively describing what all is required for age assessment. This is Forensic Age Diagnostics AFGAD of German Society of Legal Medicine, and they talk about the developmental age, the dental age, as well as the skeletal bone age. If you see the a physical examination, obviously it is going to refer to the growth of the child, the growth in the weight of the child or the height of the child. The X-ray of the hand, the radiographs is going to comprise of the X-ray of the hand, the hand wrist, and the dental examination is going to be done by the panorex or the orthopentomograms. When the orthopentomograms or the X-ray of hand cannot tell you the right age, the CT of the clavicles, the clavicle growth or the clavicle maturation can actually tell you the age.
La doctora encontró como la tabla before, esta tabla de un grupo forense de la Sociedad Alemana de Medicina Legal, en la que nos dice qué cosas se necesitan para poder abordar la estimación de la edad. Please, could you put thank you. Entonces, lo dividen en cuatro etapas: el examen físico, la radiografía de las manos, la radiografía panorámica y el examen dental, y después una tomografía de las clavículas. Thank you.
So when we talk about the radiographs, well, because when we talk about the hand wrist, As an orthodontist, we are used to teaching the students the growth of the or the maturity of the skeleton based on, and the hand rest has two different ways. One is the visual method, where you have a Grulich and pile atlas, which already has various hand rests in the various maturation stages of boys and girls, and you just have to match the hand rest in your hand, which is in your hand of the individual that you're going to assess, with the atlas photograph, and the closest photograph you have to just assess, and you have the right age in front of you. That is a Grulich and pile atlas. That is a visual method. But one is an assessment method, which is a Tanner Whitehouse method, where you have a scoring system, an objective scoring system given to each book.
Ok. Con respecto a la radiografía de la mano, tenemos dos tipos de métodos. Uno es un método visual, en el que se tiene un atlas y se compara con las radiografías de acuerdo a si es un hombre o una mujer a la que estamos identificando. Y visualmente vemos a scores, en el que tenemos el de Tanner Whitehouse.
When these two don't work and the individual that you are going to assess has crossed that stage, then the CT of the clavicles, they come handy. And there are various ossification stages of CT of clavicles, where you can see on the left side, there are 5 stages. One, the ossification center is not ossified to the area where the epiphyseal cartilage has completely fused. So when the Tanner Whitehouse or the hand wrist X-rays, they don't work, then the CT of clavicles can be a useful aid to assess the age of the individual.
Okay. En el caso de la tomografía de las clavículas, vemos que aquí se divide en 5 estadios, de acuerdo a si está osificado o no el centro, cómo está el cartílago epifisiario, si está parcialmente osificado, si está totalmente osificado, y este es uno de los métodos que también se usan.
Then we come to the dental age estimation. Dental age estimation, actually, there are so many, as I said earlier in my slides, that teeth can really tell you a lot of story, which the other tissues are not able to tell you, because they sustain a lot of calamities. And you can do it at different stages, when the child is born, to when the child matures, to when the child ages. You can tell the age based on the dentition at every stage, whether it is prenatal, neonatal, or early postnatal, in children and adolescents and in adults, and different techniques can be used. One can be visual examination or clinical examination. You can do it on radiographs also. You can also do it on extracted teeth in the histological or the biochemical methods.
Para la estimación dental, como yo les había dicho antes, puede decirnos muchas cosas. Nos puede decir en qué estadio está el niño, si estamos hablando de un adulto, y tenemos muchas formas de abordarlo. Si tenemos una inspección visual o clínica, podemos usar radiografías, o podemos extraer un diente y realizar algunas mediciones y usar algunos scores.
When we talk about the prenatal, neonatal, or early postnatal, well, we have already said that when the child is born, when he's born, then the environment is going to change, and there is a neonatal line, a hypermineralized line that is going to tell you. If the neonatal line is present, you will come to know that the child was born alive and that was not a stillbirth. So that can be an area of identification in cases of infanticides, which is a major problem which is going on in many countries. And apart from that, if you can just extract the tooth and you can assess the weight of the mineralized tooth, that can also be a point of assessment, because at the birth time, the weight in grams of the tooth can tell you what is the stage of the development of the tooth.
Wow. Ok, tenemos algo, a mí me parece interesante, yo no lo había escuchado, que podemos saber a través de los dientes si un niño nació o si fue un óbito, y eso se hace cuando se encuentra esta línea neonatal. Si existe esta línea y la vemos en la histología, este niño nació vivo. Otra forma es de acuerdo a cuánto pesan estos dientes. Aquí podemos ver la estimación de gramos de acuerdo a qué estadio está.
We dentists are made to, just look at the pictures, look at the models, and to tell us what is the age of the particular patient or the individual that we are trying to assess. So in the left side, on the picture 1, we can see that we just have the central incisors, which are permanent, and the molars. So we know it is a 6-year-old. When we look at the second picture, it is the ugly duckling, and we are taught that there is a center space and the canines have not yet erupted. So it is anywhere between 9 to 11 years. In the third picture, we know that the recession has occurred. So it is an adult age group, which can be beyond 40 or 45. And in the fourth picture, we know that the third molar is erupting. So it can be anywhere between the age of 18 to 25. So you can see that in general, the dentists are taught based on the eruption status.
De acuerdo a los estadios de erupción y cómo vemos los dientes, podemos dar una edad aproximada. Por ejemplo, en la imagen número 1 vemos unos incisivos muy filosos. Entonces pensamos de que visualmente es un niño de 5 o 6 años. En la imagen 2 vemos este estadio en la que hay una mordida muy fea, similar a la de un pato. Entonces, podemos imaginar que estamos entre los 9 y 10 años de edad. Sí, por ejemplo, en la foto número 4, vemos la erupción de la tercera molar. Y esto nos dice de que está entre los 18 y 25 años. De acuerdo a qué es lo que encontremos y las características que tenemos, podríamos dar una estimación visual.
And as I said that when we talk about the developmental stage of the tooth, which is based on the chronology, based on the age which happens for the calcification of the crown to the crown completion to the root development and the root completion, that is basically what Schur and Massler chart that we've been taught in dental anatomy books, and that is what we follow till now. But now modification of this chart has also come, which is quite better, because this is actually the chronology tables that we have been taught to remember, and based on this we tell what is the age of the individual. And this is now the London Atlas which has come, which is a modification of Schur and Massler chart, and this is also a visual method because we try to remember what is the eruption stage of any tooth, and based on the cast or the radiograph that we have in hand, we just match the Schur and Massler or the London Atlas, and we just tell what is the age of the individual. This is also a visual method. Yeah.
Okay. Entonces, tenemos la erupción y la calcificación para dar una estimación de la edad. Hemos visto en las tablas anteriores la evolución de los scores que teníamos para la estimación visual. Este es uno de los últimos, que es el Atlas de London, en lo que se busca que hacer un match, comparar lo que encontramos con lo que vemos en este Atlas, que es parte de los métodos visuales.
This is a book on forensic odontology that we had published, and this is my chapter of age estimation in that. And in this, we have mentioned all the various techniques of dental age estimation. In this lecture, it is not possible to cover all the methods in detail. So I've just mentioned in brief that a tooth can tell you story right from the time a child is born to right to the time the individual becomes an adult. And at every stage, because of the developmental stage of the tooth, you can tell with certain certainty that this is the age of the individual. So you have in adults, we've talked about the neonatal, we have talked about the children and adolescents. Now it is the adults. So the Gustafson's method, the cementum annulation method, the dentine translucency or the pulp tooth ratio by Dr. Kemery, and various methods of histology where the extracted tooth is available in your hands, like fluorescence and dental color age estimation. In the case of postmortem individuals, that also, these are the various methods that can tell you the age of the individual based on the developmental stages of the tooth. So
Okay.
I just mentioned through the slides, you can just tell them that the various methods that we have mentioned for age estimation. If they want to go through these methods, our chapter is available in the Handbook of Forensic Odontology, but it's not possible to cover all the methods in detail in this particular lecture.
Ok, I will tell them that. Lo que nos ha ido pasando unos slides de diferentes métodos que son desarrollados en el libro que ellos han publicado. Ella nos dice que sería muy complicado hablar de absolutamente todos los métodos, así que solo nos pasó los slides. Lo que tenemos que tener en cuenta es de que nosotros no podemos decir esta es la edad exacta de tal persona. Sea cual sea el método que estamos usando, vamos a decir en qué etapa se encuentra la persona, pero no una edad exacta.
Again, racemization of aspartic acid and radiocarbon dating. There are also various methods depending on the ratio of L-amino acid to D-amino acid and the radiocarbon dating that has been put forward by Spalding, K, and A. And this is the various methods of Camry, that is open apices, pulp tooth, third molar carpal, epiphyseal fusion, and fourth cervical vertebra. I would like to reach to the charts soon. So you can just mention the names of these methods.
Ok. Nos sigue pasando los slides, ya que es solo para que sepan que existen, y porque quiere llegar ya a las tablas que nos quiere enseñar.
The emergent method is one method which has been established, and it is based on the radiographs or the panorex. And in this method, this is a very age-old method, but it's applicable in all the ethnic populations, has been tested in almost all the ethnic population, and it has proved its worth even till now. It is based on the assessment of the status of left 7 mandibular teeth, which is right from central incisor to the second molar on panorex. And based on the developmental status of all these teeth on the panorex, you can assess the age. You know, earlier when the first time I took that Demergen article in my hand, it was a 17-page article, and it was so difficult for me to even go through those 17 pages. It is really confusing. There's so many tables involved in it. But when I just read through it, I realized that if I can simplify this and I can use it with my students and I can make them understand, it is a very simple, it turned out to be a very simple method. And that's what I'm here to present in front of you.
Ok. Este es el clásico método de Demergen que todos conocen, que se hace a través de la evaluación de una radiografía panorámica. En resumen, se usa evaluando los estadios de calcificación de 7 dientes permanentes en el lado izquierdo de la mandíbula. Este método ha sido probado en diferentes poblaciones, es uno de los más usados, pero puede ser muy complicado para algunas personas, ya que hay algunos factores que tener en cuenta. Entonces, después de leer mucho sobre este método, la doctora dijo, ¿cómo puedo simplificar esto para poder enseñárselo a mis alumnos? Y eso es lo que nos va a presentar más adelante.
So where do we assess in the Demergen method? As I just said in my previous slide, that we assess 7 left mandibular teeth on the panorex, which is from the central incisor, lateral, canines, 2 premolars, first molar and second molar, and these are the permanent teeth that we assess. The status of growth of
Doctor, I couldn't listen the last thing. Yes.
Okay. So in the Demergen method, what we do is that on the panorex, we assess the left 7 mandibular teeth, the status of the growth of 7 permanent mandibular teeth, which is from central incisor to the second molar.
Okay. Dentro del método de Demergen, ¿qué vamos a evaluar? Vamos a evaluar desde el incisivo central hasta la segunda molar del lado izquierdo.
So what do we do in the original Demergen method? You take a radiograph, you see it is a developmental stage radiograph, step 1. and then you try to assess the developmental stage of the permanent growing teeth in the radiograph. The second step is that there is a chart which is given in the original Demergen article. This chart looks like this, and you have to assess the individual growth developmental status of the tooth from the central incisor to the second molar, and you have to kind of note it down somewhere what is the developmental stage of one tooth, and then you have to add these scores in step 3. There is a maturity score given against each tooth, and you have to circle that, and you have to add those scores and look at what is the age corresponding to that score. This is the original Demergen that I'm talking about. So if I tell you these 4 steps are really confusing if you look at the original article. It's a very extensive article, and there are so many tables involved that you might get confused, and the tables are different for males and females. And then for every status, every tooth status, it is difficult to remember what was the status of one particular tooth, because you have to add and then reach the final maturity score. This is the original Demergen that I'm presenting, and now I'm going to come to the simplified version that I have prepared.
Ok, perfecto. Entonces, lo que nos acaba de presentar es el método original de Demergen, que empieza con este ortopantograma. Luego nos da unas tablas de este artículo original para ver en qué para coincidir las etapas del desarrollo de cada diente. Después se le da una puntuación a cada uno de acuerdo al estadio de maduración de cada uno. Y por último, se suman todos estos datos, lo que podría ser muy confuso, ya que hay que recordar cada uno de acuerdo a si es hombre o mujer, y el artículo original es bastante largo. Entonces, lo que nos va a presentar a continuación es el método simplificado.
So now we present the dental age estimation charts. This is the first chart that got published in 2016, and this is called DAEcc. So you can just see it is just one comprehensive chart, and all that you need is this one chart, the scores, the male and female score table, and the panorex with you. Nothing else you need for this particular age estimation chart. And you can do the age estimation because my students have done the age estimation. For the first time, they have just taken, on the average, 7 to 8 minutes for reading one panorex and reaching the estimated age of the individual.
Wonderful. Esta es la tabla que se presentó en el 2016, que se llama DAEcc, y solo se necesitan 3 cosas para estimar la edad. 1, esa tabla. 2, la radiografía panorámica. Y 3, tener a la mano los estadios de maduración de los dientes. Entonces, usando estas 3 cosas, esas 3 únicas cosas, sus estudiantes han logrado estimar la edad entre 7 y 8 minutos. Así que es bastante práctico.
So validity has also been tested for this chart, and the on 2 ethnic populations, they have already tested the validity of this chart, and has been published in Journal of Forensic and Legal Medicine.
Bueno, I don't know how to say it. In what kind of people it's been validated?
Okay, the ethnic population, one is because India is a diverse country, so we have different origins in India itself. So it has been tested on Haryana population and the North Indian population.
Okay, perfect. Ha sido validado esta tabla en población de la India, en 2 tipos de poblaciones diferentes, ya que la India tiene una población muy diversa.
So if we just try to assess how we have to do it, I would like to just explain it in brief. So the first step is that you trace the calcification stages from the calcification to maturation of left 7 mandibular teeth. Let me just show you the picture. So if you see this picture, you can just tell them that you take a panorex. You just take a panorex in your hand, and whatever is the calcified area, from the first central incisor or the left mandibular central incisor to the left mandibular second molar. You trace all the calcified area in that. That is the first step. You take a tracing sheet, put it on the radiograph or the panorex, and you try and trace all the calcified area from the central incisor to the second molar.
In not individually, but as an all the area of calcification?
Only the area of calcification you have to trace on the tracing sheet. You put a tracing sheet on the panorex and you trace the calcification area only. The radio opaque area of that tooth, of the erupting permanent tooth. You just trace the calcified area.
Okay.
This is I've shown the calcification area in colored. This is the calcification area. You see.
Okay.
Developing tooth buds, you are just tracing the calcified area, not
okay.
the other.
Entonces, la primera parte es ver el estadio de la calcificación. Tenemos nuestra radiografía panorámica y nos vamos a fijar en todas las áreas que estén calcificadas, que eso es lo que vemos en esta imagen. Si se dan cuenta, nos está mostrando, nos está coloreando de celeste todo lo que sería el área ya calcificada.
So this is how the tracing is going to look like. See, central, lateral, canine, premolars, first molar and second molar. This is how your tracing is going to look like.
Entonces vamos a hacer una especie de dibujo y vamos a ver cómo se representan en este dibujo las áreas calcificadas.
And then you break up that chart into parts. The first part, I have broken it up into different sections. This is the first section where the demographic details of the individual is there. This is where now you have the tracing in your hands and you are going to work with the tracing in this area. And this is the total score. So there are basically three sections. One is the demographic details. One is the tracing area where the scoring has to be done. And the third section is the total score.
Ok. Esta tabla tiene tres partes. Una es los datos demográficos. Otro es ver cuál es la calcificación que corresponde de acuerdo a los dientes que estamos evaluando. Y la tercera es el score total.
So this is the demographic area. You can see all the patient details here. The patient ID, whatever ID you are going to, patient ID or the individual ID if you're working in forensics, and the gender, the date of collection, the dentition, the nationality. That's also important because we want to test this particular chart in all the nationalities and all the places of origin. So it's important that we mention the nationality here.
Vamos a abordar uno por uno. Esta es la parte de datos demográficos, dentro del cual el más importante es la nacionalidad.
So you see the section 2, where you have to work. Now you have the tracing in your hand. If you just look at this, this is going to tell you the tooth number. As we said, that it is a central incisor, the lateral incisor, the canine, the first premolar, second premolar, first molar, and second molar. This is mentioned here. Then the calculated score is mentioned here for boys and girls. So if you look at the scores here, I have put an oblique sign here. So the first score is for boy and the second score is for girls. In every situation, it's like the same. The boys first, the girls second. So whatever radiograph you have in hand, first of all, you have to see whether it is a male or a female. Okay. The radiograph that I had mentioned, that was of a female. So whatever scores we are going to look have to be on the right side. You just explain this much, then I'll go to the next part.
Yes. Ya. Esta es la segunda sección de la tabla. Y lo interesante es de que en la primera columna tenemos el número de diente. Entonces sabemos que el primero es el incisivo central, de ahí el incisivo lateral y así poco a poco. Debajo de cada número, por ejemplo, tenemos el 31, debajo dice CS, 2 puntos, BY y GR. ¿Qué quiere decir? Este BY quiere decir boys, boy de hombre, y el GR quiere decir mujer. Entonces, nosotros vemos que debajo de cada uno, de acuerdo al estadio de calcificación en el que pensamos que se encuentra este diente, vemos igual dos números. El primero va a corresponder a los hombres, boys, y el segundo va a corresponder a las mujeres, y eso se repite para cada uno de los dientes. Entonces, lo primero que tenemos que hacer al tomar la radiografía panorámica es saber si es hombre o mujer, y después de eso miramos la tabla, y si es una mujer, por ejemplo, trabajamos dando la puntuación con el segundo número. Y si es un hombre, trabajamos dando la puntuación con el primer número que aparezca, no con los dos, solo escogemos uno de acuerdo al sexo.
So if on the y-axis you have the tooth number and the calculated scores, on the x-axis you see A to H. This is the developmental stage of the tooth. A, B, C. This is according to the Nolla's stages. If you all remember the Nolla's stages, the first stage corresponds to just the calcification beginning in the crown. Then it is extending to the CJ on one side. Then it is again on both the sides, it's extending to the CJ. So it's based on the developmental stage or the calcification stage of the crown first, and then the root development, then the root completion here. So this is based on Nolla stages A to H.
Ok, perfecto. Tenemos dentro de las columnas A, B, C, D, hasta el H, los estadios de Nollas. ¿Nollas? Disculpen, no estoy muy familiar con los estadios. Y lo que vemos aquí es la calcificación de la corona y el desarrollo de la raíz. Y en base a qué estadio de Nollas esté, es que vamos a dar ese score.
So you don't have to remember the stages. You have the tracing in your hand. Now you are just going to look at the picture which is closest to the stage that is in your tracing. So what you have to do is that this is the first stage. You see 3-1, 3-2, the central incisor, the canines, and the first premolar. The first premolar and the second premolar have the same stage. So these three don't have the first stage. But if you come to the central incisor, it starts from the stage C. So you have to see which stage is closely matching to the tracing that you have in your hand. Since I mentioned that the example which I had taken was from a girl, so I'm going to look at the scores on the right side. So if my stage is nearer to this picture for a central incisor, then I'm going to circle this. If it's closer to this picture for a lateral incisor, I'm going to circle this. For a central and a lateral incisor, this picture is going to work. For a canine, this picture is going to work. For first premolar and second premolar, this picture is going to work. For first molar and second molar, these pictures are going to work.
Okay. Ni siquiera tenemos que aprendernos los estadios, sino miramos la fotografía, miramos las imágenes dentro de esta tabla y hacemos la comparación con la radiografía panorámica que tenemos. Y de acuerdo a eso le damos el score dependiendo si es hombre o si es mujer.
So let us just see. Now you have to match the tracing. I'll just show you how we match the tracing. So this was the tracing that we had in our hand, right? Mm-hmm. This is the central and the lateral incisor. They are pertaining to same group of pictures, the developmental stage pictures. So in this calcification is nearer to this picture, right? You can see here.
Yes.
This is matching this picture closely. And since it was a girl, so for a central incisor, I'm going to circle this. And for a lateral incisor, I'm going to circle this score.
Perfect.
So you are circling the scores here.
Ok. Bueno, ¿se acuerdan el dibujo que hicimos con respecto a la radiografía panorámica que teníamos? Ya, es este mismo. Entonces, vamos a mirar el incisivo central. En este caso tenemos que buscar a cuál se parece más la imagen. En esta tabla, el incisivo central y el incisivo lateral comparten las mismas imágenes. ¿Ok? Entonces, vemos a cuál se parece más. Si vemos el que tiene la flechita roja y lo comparamos con las fotografías y con las imágenes que hay en la tabla, vemos que se parece a los que están en la columna G, tanto el incisivo central como el incisivo lateral. En este caso, la radiografía panorámica era de una mujer. Entonces, tomamos el segundo número. Entonces, la pieza 31 sería el 9.3 y la pieza 32 sería el 12.2.
For canines, as you can see in this picture, this is the particular stage, and this is matching this stage, right? So
Right.
we take the score on the right side. We circle that.
Ok, igual, vamos avanzando. En el caso de los caninos, del canino, vemos a cuál se parece más dentro de nuestra tabla. Y se parece igual a la columna G, y como es una mujer, le damos 11.6. Si la panorámica fuera un hombre y es la misma imagen, le daríamos 11.
For premolars, both the first premolar and the second premolar, the same figures are going to work. These figures are going to work. So if you look at the first premolar, this picture is going to closely resemble this. So we are going to take the right side of the score. And for the second premolar also, this tracing is matching this stage. So we are going to circle this score, the right side score.
Perfecto. Igual, en el caso de los premolares, también comparten la misma serie de gráficos. Entonces, lo mismo. Buscamos a cuál nos recuerda la imagen que estamos viendo. Y vemos que la pieza 34 y la pieza 35 nos recuerdan a esto que está en rojo, que sería la penúltima columna. Como es mujer, escogemos el segundo número. Entonces, en el caso de la pieza 34 vamos a escoger este 13.4. Y en el caso de la pieza 35 vamos a escoger el 13.8.
For molars in the same way, just look at the tracing and match which stage it is. So for the first molar, if you see, the stage is going to match this. So we are going to circle the right side of first molar, this particular picture. And for the second molar, since it's not that developed as the first molar, the second last picture is going to match. So we circle the right side of the score.
Okay. En el caso de los molares también comparten la misma serie de gráficos. Vamos a mirar la primera molar, que es la que está con la flechita roja. Y vemos que la imagen que nos recuerda es la de la columna H. Por eso estamos escogiendo ese 16.2 que está subrayado. En el caso de la segunda molar, nos va a recordar a la imagen de la columna G. Por eso ahí está subrayado el 14.5.
Now that you have circled all the scores in the section 2, now in the total score section 3 column, you're going to put all the scores that you have circled and you're going to add them.
Ok. A medida que hemos ido avanzando, hemos ido poniéndole círculos o una rayita a cada uno de los scores que hemos escogido de acuerdo a lo que vemos en las imágenes de la tabla. Entonces, el paso final es sumar todos esos scores individuales y darle un score total.
Now you have the total score with you. Now you go to the corresponding tables where the score, the age is mentioned, and you are going to match that score with the corresponding age. Look at this. Now, this was 95.7. So look for 95.7 in this table, where the 95.7 for girls. Since we are only looking at the girl X-ray, the female X-ray, so we are going to look at 95.7. This is 95.8, which is closest. So the age is 11.7 years.
Okay. Could I choose 95.6 also to give a range, maybe?
yes, you can, because when you have to present it in the court, you definitely have to give a range. But you
Okay.
can choose the closest one. Yes, you can give a range. You can also, because you have to quote the article along with it. You just quote the article and give a range.
Ok, perfecto. Entonces, cuando ya tenemos ese número total, que para nosotros fue 95.7, vamos a ir a las tablas que tenemos. En este caso, están divididas en hombres y en mujeres. Nosotros tenemos, en el caso de este ejemplo, a una mujer. Entonces, buscamos dónde está nuestro score de 95.7. Vamos a escoger el que esté más cercano. Lo que yo le preguntaba a la doctora, porque ella ha escogido 95.8, si es que podríamos escoger incluso 95.6. El 95.8 le da una edad aproximada de 11 años con 7 meses. En cambio, el score de 95.6 le daría una edad aproximada de 11 años con 6 meses. Entonces, lo que me dice es que no hay problema. La idea es escoger el más cercano al número total que nos salió, pero de todas formas nos vamos a pronunciar en un rango a la hora que estimemos la edad.
This is the calculated age. So what are the advantages of this? As you look at the original demergent method, it's a lot more cumbersome. It's difficult to understand, and you have to refer to so many different tables, and you don't have a record. So I've kind of modified that, and it's more contemporary. It is just one chart you have to hold along with the age chart, and you just have to mention in that particular chart, you have to mention all the scores, and that becomes a record for you. So even if two of the operators are assessing the same radiograph, you can also check for inter-operator variability in that, which you can't do in the original demergent because it's all in your eyes. You are not documenting it anywhere. This is a kind of a document which you can maintain for years. And when you have to present it in the court, a written document or a stored document is always better than something which is in your perception, which is not tangible, which you can't see.
Ok. Dentro de las ventajas que tenemos es de que, como hemos visto, es fácil para la persona que lo aplica, consume menos tiempo, es menos papeleo porque solo usamos 3 cosas. El problema es de que muchas veces lo visual podría no ser muy objetivo. Entonces, de todas formas, después de haber hecho esta evaluación en la que ya tenemos un rango de, bueno, una edad aproximada, tenemos que realizar el método grande, podemos usar Dermir-Yang. Entonces, establecemos una comparación y en base a eso ya nos pronunciamos.
And I would also like to mention here that these particular charts, as we had done a workshop for non-dentists also, it is so simple because you just have to look at, you just have to trace it, keep it with you, you look at the stage of the development and you match it in that particular chart. You just circle the scores, you add the scores and look at the corresponding age and you are done. It is that simple. It just takes 4 to 5 minutes, not more than that. And when you're looking, when you're sitting on the table, sometimes you are called for your opinion as dentists for dental age estimation. You are called to a board. And there you can just take this chart, you can look at the radiograph, and there itself in 5 minutes, you can just tell them, at least with one method, you can tell for certainty this is the age.
Una de las ventajas de este método es de que lo pueden usar incluso personas que no son odontólogos, ya que es un método visual y fácil de usar. La otra ventaja es que, por ejemplo, muchas veces los odontólogos son llamados para dar consejos a las juntas, en los juicios. Entonces puede ser que saquen una radiografía panorámica y pidan que estimemos la edad. Entonces, si tenemos a la mano estos esquemas, podríamos sacar la edad de una forma bastante rápida.
This is all combined into one. I've already explained this. And these are the various stages that have been mentioned in the article also. So if sometimes you have a confusion matching the picture of the calcification, you can just look for the explanation and you can look at the stage. This is A to H stages have been mentioned here.
Perfecto. Aquí presentamos una tabla en la que los estadios de calcificación están desarrollados y explicados en caso de que se tenga cierta dificultad a la hora de mirar y no tener muy en claro qué estadio estamos viendo.
Apart from this, we've also done the same comprehensive table for the 8-tooth method. So there is an 8-teeth method, a Chalet and Demergen modification of Demergen. And we have made a comprehensive chart for that too. It is the same, it works on the same principles. There are just few differences in that, because in the 7-teeth method, we take the stages, NOLA stages A to H, whereas in this we have 10 stages, 0 to 9. And it is more descriptive, but it works on the same principle. On the x-axis you have the calculated score, on the y-axis you have the calculated score, on the x-axis you have 0 to 9 developmental stage. It works in the same way with the pictures for central incisors, canines, premolars and molars, but the difference is that here you are also assessing the third molar status. So it works for an age group which is older. You can also assess it for the age group of 18 to 25 years, which you can't do in the 7-teeth method.
18 to what? 25 years. Okay. Yes. Do you have any preference to use this or the other one?
We use it in the age group of growing children 6 to 14 or 16 years, the 7-teeth method. And when we have an older age group, we use these 8-teeth chart for that.
Okay.
Because
perfect.
we have a third molar here, we just have the second molar till there. In that chart, we just have till second molar. Here we have a third molar developmental status also.
Okay, perfect. Aparte de la tabla que ya nos presentaron, se ha hecho una tabla en la que se consideran las terceras molares y además con los estadios de Mirjam. ¿Cuál es la diferencia? Que esto nos sirve para población un poco mayor, entre los 18 y 25 años, y la otra tabla nos sirve para población un poco menor, ya que estamos usando solo hasta la segunda molar. Es básicamente lo mismo.
Okay, sorry, I'm sorry. I thought...
No, it's okay, it's okay.
Okay. So this is the Chalet Demergen modification. So just mentioning the differences, you have third molar in this, you have 10 stages in this, and that is a difference from the 7-teeth because this is 8-teeth. You have stages 0 to 9, and it is based on regression formulas. It is not based on the, like you had that table in your hand and you had to look for the calculated age. You don't have to look in that. Here you have a regression formula. If you go back, you can see the regression formulas here. You have Indian formulas and you have original formulas. So whatever total score you're going to get, you just put in these formulas and you're going to get the age. So this is even more comprehensive. Here you just need this one chart. You don't need any other chart along with this. You can just put the total score in the formulas and can get the age there and then in 5 minutes.
Okay, wonderful. Pardon. Doctor, the next slide, please.
Okay.
Yes. No, okay, that one. Entonces, otra vez, hablando de las diferencias entre la tabla anterior y esta, es que incluyen la tercera molar. Hay 10 estadios de calcificación que se toman en cuenta. Se usan 8 dientes y ya no 7. Como les decía, ya no se usan los estadios de la A a la H, sino de 0 a 9, y están basadas en fórmulas de regresión. Could you please put the one before? Yes, thank you. Entonces, si nosotros recordamos en la tabla anterior, nosotros teníamos un número que para nosotros nos salió 95.7, y con ese 95.7 buscábamos en otra tabla de acuerdo a si eran hombres o mujeres. Ya, aquí no vamos a buscar en ninguna otra tabla. Esto va a estar basado en fórmulas. Si vemos en la parte de abajo de este cuadro, vemos que hay fórmulas indias y las fórmulas originales. Entonces, vamos, de acuerdo si es hombre, que es la primera fórmula, o si es mujer, la segunda fórmula, vamos a tomar el número que nos salga en total y la vamos a reemplazar dentro de nuestras fórmulas. Es decir, cuando vamos a usar este método, solo necesitamos esta tabla y la radiografía panorámica.
So this is the difference, and these are the advantages we've already talked about. And this is the last slide, and I would just like to mention here that the charts which I have presented here for 17th and 18th, you are all forensic dentists here or forensic science specialists. I would really urge that this is a very, very simple chart. And if you can just try it in your population, whether it works, and with the level of experience that different operators can have, you can also do a comparative study. It is so simple that you can give it to your students and tell them to do it at least on a population sample of 100 to 200 patients. You must be having panoramics in different stages of development. And it is really going to benefit if we can just test the validity on different ethnic population. It's my simple, earnest plea to you that if you can just use it and tell me how effective is it, or if I can make some modifications in this. And you can also include it in your forensic manual. We have included it in our university. So if you try and include it in your forensic manual, it will be a benefit for students also. You can use it for the forensic application when you are called for age estimation in some forensic boards. You can take this chart there and you can just assess it in 5 minutes. So that is basically all of us are here to help each other, tell us each other's problems. So if you have some problem with the chart, I'm more than welcome to hear it and modify. So that's my...
It's wonderful. Thank you. I am not an odontologist. I am a physician, but it was really useful for me. Thank you. Lo que nos dice la doctora es de que le gustaría comentarnos de que a ella le interesaría mucho que nosotros probemos este método, que hagamos métodos comparativos con otros métodos que nosotros usemos, dárselas a los estudiantes que ustedes tengan, y tratar de aplicar la tabla, y si tienen algún problema, contactarse con ella para que ella vea si necesita hacerle alguna modificación, algún ajuste, para que sea más fácil de usar incluso, ya que ella considera que es un método muy útil para todos, y bastante rápido.
I can make these charts available to Dr. Wendy for circulation. If anybody is interested, we can also plan up some studies, or we are open to all suggestions that you people can have.
Thank you. Nos dice que a través de la doctora Wendy, para los que estén interesados, nos va a facilitar las tablas. Y de repente, si alguno está interesado en investigación, ella está más que abierta para escuchar las propuestas y trabajar juntos.
So this is how you can actually report the age that you derive from any chart. So this is an ABFO guideline. And these are my references. And I think let's make a new beginning. And let's think out of the box and try and apply these charts in your practice.
Thank you. Bueno, nos mostró sus referencias y nos dice, ¿no?, que podemos hacer siempre un nuevo comienzo y pensando fuera de la caja, ¿no? Acá nos deja su mail para cualquier sugerencia.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to you.
Can I stop sharing?
Sorry?
Can I stop sharing?
Yes, thank you.
This is my mail ID. In case anybody has a query, this is my mail ID, which is written below.
Yes, I told them that already. Yes, thank you. Dice que este es su mail para cualquier consulta, que muchas gracias. Yo he dicho que nosotros también le damos las gracias, y va a dejar de compartir la pantalla, así que anoten el mail si están interesados.
De verdad, Priyanka, qué interesante esa tabla que han creado ustedes, porque como tú dices, eso podría acelerar el proceso de hacer la estimación de la edad en su momento en que nosotros podamos realizarlo, ¿no? Entonces, a nosotros definitivamente nos interesa poder trabajar al menos con mis estudiantes sobre todo ese método, así que esa técnica, ¿no? Porque el método de Demirjan sí lo conocemos, lo han trabajado los alumnos, pero esta tablita que tú tienes o esta tabla que tienes puede ayudarnos a de repente acelerar el proceso de estudio, ¿no?
Well, thank you. It was really, really interesting, the chart that your team create. Dr. Wendy is really interested in working with her students. So thank you so much.
That would be really great, and I would be really happy if you can just tell me if you have some problems related to the charts. We would be happy to modify it and present it with your suggestions.
Okay. Dice que ella está muy emocionada de que puedan trabajar la tabla y que le digan si tienen algún problema o qué sugerencias tienen.
Por supuesto, yo creo que muchos de los que están acá, yo sé que la primera va a ser Mimi.
No, yo tengo preguntas.
Va a preguntar. Ella siempre pregunta. A ver.
No, porque tengo algunas dudas. La primera pregunta, bueno, Marvel, ya tú le dirás, mi nombre es Lourdes Gómez de República Dominicana y su ponencia fue excelente, pero tengo algunas dudas. La primera es la puntuación que ella sí, ya yo entendí que se necesitan 3 cosas para tú estimar, que es el sexo, es la radiografía y es el método en principio. Entonces, la puntuación que ella dio para cada diente es la que da Demirjan en la tabla de niñas y niños. Es la primera pregunta. La segunda pregunta es que si ellos le dieron esa misma puntuación y si comprobaron que era válida esa misma puntuación para la población india. Esta es la segunda pregunta. Ve preguntándole por
Sí, estoy anotándolo. ¿Quiere nomás, doctora, o quiere que le pregunte estas dos primero?
Sí, pregúntale esas primero.
Okay. Dr. Priyanka, this is Dr. Lourdes Gomez. She is from Dominican Republic, so she has some doubts. She wants to ask if the score given it's the same score that Demirjan gives in the charts.
Yes, it's the same score because that has been tried and tested across the various populations, but it was difficult to comprehend, so we incorporated it in that chart. It's the same score.
Dice que sí, ese mismo score. And she wants to know if this is validated it's in India, in your population.
Yes, it is validated in 2 different ethnic populations. As I said, that India is a vast country and we have different ethnic origins in India itself. So we have validated in 2 populations. But across the world, we would like to validate it. So we are requesting that if you can test it in your population, it would be beneficial.
Perfect. Dice que este mismo test ha sido probado en 2 poblaciones indias diferentes, ya que ellos tienen diferentes poblaciones y que a ella le encantaría que nosotros lo probemos en nuestros propios países para que sea aquí validado.
Ok, la otra pregunta es, para nosotros, vamos a suponer que yo quiera hacer su método. Yo primero, yo podría utilizarlo en una población dominicana sin antes haber hecho la validación del método de Demirjan en dominicanos. Porque ella lo hizo en indio, en la India, pero yo podría utilizar su método sin antes validar el método de Demirjan en dominicanos.
Okay. So, if I want to use that method, I can use it before validating the Mirjam method in Dominicans?
Yes, you can use the same chart, and you can start with a pilot study of maybe 100, like we started it with a pilot study of 100 males, 100 females. And if you find some overestimation or underestimation, you can include a larger sample to remove the bias. So you can definitely apply it in different populations in Dominican Republic or any other population that you want to try. I would recommend you to start with a smaller pilot sample size of 100 males, 100 females, and then extend it to a vast population.
Even if in this country they have not validated the Demijan method?
That's okay, because then you are trying to use that method, and you can definitely say that you have validated a emergent method in your population. In fact, it would be a first time. It would be good that if you can validate it for the first time with this chart itself.
Thank you, thank you. Lo que dice es que sí, no hay ningún problema. Lo que ella recomienda es tomar 100 varones, 100 mujeres y aplicar el método. Y si hay un rango muy amplio de sobreestimación o subestimación, aplicar más población para ver si es válido. Es más, el hecho de que no esté validado de Mirjam en su población es bueno, porque a través de este método verían si es válido o no.
Ok. Entonces pregúntale ¿qué opinión le merece a ella el método visual? Que aunque ella explicó cuáles son las ventajas y las desventajas, pero ¿qué opinión le merece a ella ese tipo de método?
El método visual.
Sí.
Yeah, can I just add in the last question also?
Yes.
We validated,
yes.
When we validated this chart, we did it with the original Demergent method, and we used the chart, both. And we found there was no difference in the results. So we have already validated. So if you are trying to do a Demergent method, you can easily use this chart instead. We've already validated that.
Ok, thank you. La acotación que nos hace es de que ella ha validado su tabla con el método de Mirjam. O sea, no es necesario tratar de validar la tabla con Mirjam porque eso ya se hizo. Lo que puede hacer es validar la tabla con todo el método para su población. Y ahora sí, voy a hacer la otra pregunta. Doctor, you explained about the visual method. So Dr. Lourdes wants to know what's your opinion about it. It's a good method.
The Shore and Maslow method you're talking about?
The what?
Which method are you asking? Visual method?
Visual method.
Yeah, the Shore and Maslow method, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we've been using it for quite a bit now. But the only problem is that these methods have been, they originated quite long back. And they were in a population like Demergent was on French Canadian population. So we have to apply all those methods in our particular population and come up with the results. That's the only drawback that we have. We don't have our population specific methods, and we have to modify these methods to suit our needs. They are good methods. Visual method is also good. But unless you don't apply it in your particular ethnic population, it's not going to work.
Ok. Dice que el método visual es bueno, pero necesita ser aplicado en la población y ajustado de acuerdo a las necesidades de cada uno. Si vemos que el método no funciona, tenemos que ajustarlo.
Y otra cosa, la población que ella utilizó, ¿de qué edad fue?
Okay. What ages was the population did you validate the method on?
We validated the method for 6 to 14 years. The Demergent 70s, DAEcc we have validated. We have not yet validated this for the older age group, but you can definitely do it in your population.
Ok. La primera tabla ha sido validada entre 6 y 14 años y la segunda tabla ha sido validada hasta 25.
Ok. Y la última pregunta ya.
The last question from her.
El método Millán y el de Camerier, ¿qué diferencias o a cuál ella le daría más aprobación?
Between Camerier and Demirjan, which method do you prefer?
Okay, so this is a tricky question. Actually,
Yeah.
whenever you have to present it in a court of law, you can't just take one method, first and foremost. You have to at least do the age estimation on 2 or 3 methods. You have to mention the overestimation, the underestimation in your population. So I'm not saying that you just do one method. You have to do 2 or 3 methods.
Okay.
Camerier, I have done in my population. I found an overestimation of 0.7 years and 0.6 years in boys and girls in my population. And the same when I did Demirjan, I found the overestimation to be quite less. It was just 1 month or 2 month difference. So I can say that for my population, that works better. But in your population, you have to test 2 or 3 methods, only then you can come to a conclusion. And when you go to the court of law, you can't just take one method. So you can take this method also, you can take Camerier method also, and you can mention the difference that it has in your population. You have to take that 2 or 3 methods there.
Okay, perfect. Lo que ella dice es de que es una pregunta un poco difícil de resolver, pero ella no recomienda usar un solo método cuando vayamos a la corte, sino usar entre 2 y 3 métodos. El truco está en que tenemos que saber cuánto es la sobreestimación y la subestimación de cada uno de los métodos en nuestras poblaciones. Entonces, por ejemplo, para su población en India, Camerier le da una sobreestimación de 0.6, 0.7. Mientras que Demirjan le da una sobreestimación de 1 o 2 meses. Entonces, para ella, para su población, Demirjan se ajusta mejor. Pero lo que ella dice es que tenemos que probarlo en cada una de nuestras poblaciones y tenemos que llegar a sentarnos a una corte sabiendo cuánto es la sobreestimación y la subestimación de cada uno de los métodos para nuestra población.
O sea que lo recomendable es que en cada población se experimente en cada uno de los métodos a ver cuál se ajusta más a la tuya. Bueno, felicitarla y darle las gracias por su ponencia y por el interés que pone en que otros aprendan, en que no es celosa de todo lo que ella sabe, sino que lo comparte con todo el mundo. Y como el empeño en cuando ella chequea a un paciente, todas las mediciones que le hace, o sea, las consultas de ella duran mucho tiempo porque ella utiliza la más mínima medición para tenerla como un soporte en caso de cualquier trabajo. Que muchísimas gracias y que tenemos casi un tour para la India que lo estamos organizando para allá.
Dr. Lourdes says, thank you so much for your patience, for teaching us, for sharing your methods, not only keep it to yourself. It's really wonderful to see that you apply all your methods in all your patients for future data. So you inspire us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think I would also like, in the end, I would like to invite all of you for the next lecture. I would like to tell Dr. Aman to invite all of you for his lecture, which is upcoming. We work as a team and it's a pleasure for all of us to be with you. And thank you so much for a very patient listener.
Thank you. Dice que al final le gustaría invitarnos a su próxima ponencia, ya que le ha gustado mucho cómo estamos recibiendo, cómo le estamos recibiendo.
Dr. Aman, if you can just switch on your mic, it would be great.
Everything is switched on. Hola, everyone. Hola.
Hi, Dr. Aman.
Oh,
Aman.
hello.
I'm expecting the tie.
Good morning.
My whole house is sleeping and I'm shouting at, I'm cheering someone.
Dice que toda su casa está durmiendo y está despertando a todos.
Okay. Excellent presentation, Dr. Priyanka. At the end, I would say that, Dr. Wendy is doing a great job, and I expect the same enthusiasm on 17th.
We are all going to be there to cheer him up.
Thank you. Dice que ha sido una gran ponencia y que espera el mismo entusiasmo para el 17, que ya se acerca.
Claro que sí, gracias, más bien gracias porque de verdad a nosotros nos interesa mucho el estudio de edad. Acá en el Perú se ha estudiado bastante lo que es Demirjan y justo tú decías lo que más se ajusta a la población peruana es Demirjan, los estadios de Mincer, Demirjan, ¿no? Ya que los rangos son, digamos, más cortos, porque se ha estudiado en más población que las otras técnicas, pero sí, se han estudiado muchas técnicas, casi todas las técnicas se han podido estudiar, pero la que más estamos usando y la que más, digamos, se acerca a la población peruana es la de Demirjan, ¿no? Los estadios de Demirjan son los que usamos, ¿no? En lo actualizado de Mincer, ¿no? Así que de verdad, Priyanka, muchísimas gracias. Yo creo que la tablita que tú has desarrollado nos va a ayudar muchísimo, sobre todo, y lo vamos a hacer, definitivamente lo vamos a hacer. Para eso están los estudiantes, para poder aprender, sobre todo, a ayudarnos a nosotros, a los forenses, a mejorar las técnicas, a mejorar en cada investigación el proceso de identificación para nosotros, ¿no? Eso es lo bueno.
Thank you so much. Here in Peru, we use a lot the Demirjan method because it's really the most accurate for us. And so we are going to use your chart with our students to continue working.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure for our team, and I'm saying thanks on behalf of my team.
Dice que muchas gracias y muchas gracias por parte de su equipo también.
No, a ti las gracias. Si ya no hay más comentarios, nadie más va a participar.
Wendy, ¿quieres hacer un comentario, por favor?
Por supuesto, ya decía yo que Alan no habla.
Comentarle a la doctora Priyanka que desde la Unidad Académica de Ontología Legal de la Facultad de Ontología de la Universidad de Buenos Aires, junto con la Unidad Académica de Diagnóstico por Imágenes, se ha hecho un trabajo tomando 508 placas radiográficas, tomando el método de Demirjan como sustento científico, y nos ha dado una sobreestimación en esa cohorte de 508 radiografías, una sobreestimación de 2 años respecto del método de Demirjan. Entonces me parece muy oportuno poder aplicar o transpolar el método de la doctora a población que fueron todos de 6 a 14 años de edad cronológica y son todos nacidos en la Ciudad Autónoma de Buenos Aires. Entonces me parece que felicitarle a la doctora por su brillante exposición y creo que transpolar su método a la población de Buenos Aires en principio sería muy ponderable. Así que muy agradecido por la brillante conferencia.
This was Dr. Alan from Buenos Aires University. So they took 508 panorex, and they got an overestimation of 2 years with one method. So he's really grateful for this chart because they are going to try it.
Thank you. It will be my pleasure. And please tell me any difficulty if you have. I'll be happy to solve it.
Si tiene alguna dificultad, por favor le avisa. Estaría feliz de escucharlo.
Muchas gracias, muy agradecido.
Bueno, Si ya no hay más comentarios, si ya nadie más va a participar, les agradecemos muchísimo. Priyanka, muchísimas gracias por tu brillante exposición, tu brillante disertación. Este es el certificado para ti por tu participación en calidad de ponente en la conferencia virtual con el tema estimación dental, una tabla simplificada de forense. Gracias, de verdad, muchísimas gracias. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and see you all on 17th in Dr. Aman's lecture.
Muchas gracias y nos vemos el 17 en la ponencia del doctor Aman.
Sí, solo faltan 13 días. Falta 13 días para nuestra jornada. De verdad va a estar súper buena. Los estamos esperando a cada uno de ustedes para poder disfrutar de estos 6 meses de celebración que vamos a realizar por estas conferencias internacionales que venimos desarrollando sin dejar de hacerlas viernes y domingo. Y eso de verdad tiene, creo, su valor hasta el día de hoy. Así es que muchísimas gracias, Priyanka, a ti. Y el viernes tenemos a Alejandro Aguirre, que está con nosotros. Él va a disertar junto con el doctor, no veo el nombre.
Osvaldo Mambrín, seguramente.
Osvaldo Mambrín. Wendy.
Exactamente.
Asesores de lujo acá, ¿eh?
Sí, la autopsia médico-legal y el rol del odontólogo forense. Muchísimas gracias, Alejandro, por participar también con nosotros. Te esperamos el 9 de octubre a las 6 de la tarde, hora de Perú. Creo que hora de Argentina son las
20 horas.
8 de la noche, ¿verdad? 20 horas.
Exacto.
Así que nos estamos encontrando ese día. Muchísimas gracias. Por favor, la última foto, chicas. Por favor, prendan sus cámaras. Amanda,
take a picture,
por favor.
Please.
Ponerse fashion.
Ahora sí. Por favor, sonrían.
Okay. Smile.
Una, dos,
Thank you.
3.
1, 2, 3.
Gracias.
Thank you so much.
Gracias, gracias a todos.
Gracias, buenas noches.
Hasta luego, buenas noches.
Buenas semanas.
Gracias. Thank you.
Buenas noches.
Gracias.